what your motivation was to go there, and when did that sort of crystallize in you, and did you sort of, at what point did you know that this is what you wanted to do and not something else, you know?
Well, I always had long lists of different improbable things that I wanted to do. I've been a curious person, and textiles hold a long fascination for me since I grew up sewing. I think I liked handling them, and I liked their color aspect, and I'm a visual person. And then as I started working with makers, it was very rich to meet these women and see a bit of their culture and be one with them, because we were both mothers, or because we were both wearing skirts, or because we both like looking at embroidery, or you find all these links as you travel. So it was never the only thing that I wanted to do, but I was fascinated especially to discover textiles that I hadn't seen before. When I spent time living in London or in Paris or in New York, I would always try and buy one of something I'd never come across before and then research it. But I wanted the piece in my hand to research it. So when I traveled, I went to less traveled parts of these countries. For example, in Peru, I didn't collect pre-Columbian because I thought that had already been done rather well, and besides that, it would have caused great problems as it was illegal to traffic in pre-Columbian textiles. Nor did I go to Cusco, where many other ethnographic collectors had been before me. I ended up going in this relatively unknown area of the Sierra. In fact, a month ago when I was down in Peru on my first return trip, I showed some of my textiles and field slides in Arequipa in the south of Peru. I showed them material that I'd collected in the Sierra Central in the 70s, and they said, "This is just amazing. We only see things from Cusco." So Cusco is now showing its festivals and its craft traditions on TV. It's become a huge tourist draw. But these people in the south had never seen the wares from the center. And this is the same way I went about things in China. China, when I went in, had been closed for so long. Really, only a few missionary collections existed outside of China in Europe and the States, and those had been collected quite a long time before that. So for me, it was just wonderful making all these discoveries. In Japan also, I chose a very less popular subject, which is one of the reasons why I had a hard time getting started in Japan. I went to Japan with these years of ethnography collecting behind me and a proven record and introductions from several of the museums that had bought collections. And I said I'd like to have a research visa to spend a few years here in Japan and study modern kimono design from the 1870s forward. And more than one institution and university or museum told me I'd picked the wrong subject. They said, if you want to study kimono fabrics, you better study the 17th century. That was our apogee. And I said, well, the 17th century ones are exquisite, and I've seen some, and they exist in museums. And we haven't seen what was popular and urban in the modern period, and I think people in the West would be interested. And they said, no, you're wrong. It's not a subject. You should either study indigo and white farm textiles or 17th century. In total, I never got a proper research visa, so all the years I spent in Japan, I was just on 6-month visas, each time worrying about whether it was going to be renewed, whether we were suddenly going to have to pack up our whole house and pull the kids out of school. It was a bit of a handicap.